What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Prod.cast. I'm Andric.
I'm Basil.
And I'm SK.
And today, we're going to be doing a very special episode. It's an episode that's actually orchestrated by SK himself. But before that, we have a special guest today with us, Shanna.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello.
Shanna, tell us a bit about yourself.
What do I even say?
I mean, it's not a dating profile lah. So
Wow, okay.
just tell us what we need to know based on today's topic.
Okay, I'm a 26-year-old full-time private tuition teacher, and I've been teaching for close to 7 years.
So you started since you were 19?
Yeah, around there.
What
But
got you into this?
it was more of doing my internship where I actually did education in the education sector for an aquarium. So we brought the kids around to see the aquarium, and then we taught them about, we did a spiel, teaching them like, oh, the fishes here do what and blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Okay. So then from there, I actually taught my friend's cousin, and then it started from there. Yeah.
And that's exactly the reason why we brought in Shanna, because both Shanna and SK are private tutors in the education line. So okay, so now that we're done at the open, SK, you want to kick us off?
Basically, the reason why I really wanted to do such an episode is I think there's always two things here. One is the misconception about how people view in terms of, I need to, upgrade myself. I need to learn. I need to be always trying to keep up with the knowledge portion of things, and there's always a misconception. And also secondly is there is still that mindset that I feel that needs to be addressed regarding particularly parents, and particularly how as tutors our experiences dealing with kids and parents, and how that misalignment that we have with regards to education part. And of course, in order to make sure that this is also relevant to Bess and also to Andric, I also sort of included a little bit of my sharing session with them with regards to how you guys can contribute a bit regarding what are the labs that you feel that you have, and what are plans that you think you hope to do in order to build that gaps in. That's why this topic comes in. And also throughout the whole years, in terms of being in the art industries for so long, or in the media industry for so long, and you guys, both of you are basically, one is a honors holder, the other one happens to be like, is it okay if I share?
Sure.
Yeah. Night Tech.
Why, you ashamed of what I have?
No, I worry about that.
Oh no.
He not ashamed, why you ashamed?
Yes,
A Night Tech. Yeah, a Night Tech owner, a Night Tech holder who totally had forgotten when he graduated. So it's just a sharing session, like how all of our different perspective, how different our perspective are, and how we can have a small little discussion in regards to that. So of course, before we talk about this, the first thing that I wanted to share is how do you, like, for example, when you were young, I'm pretty sure that you have been exposed, you have been drilled by parents, your elders, or even for some cases your guardians, about certain things towards education, like a very simple one that a lot of people love to say, you must 好好读书, you must study well, if not you're going to sweep the road, the kind of thing. Yeah.
It's really dig at road sweepers, but
yeah, or they'll say like, if you don't study well, you'll be that person sweeping the floor, or that person cleaning the toilet, and
It's
things
something
like
common
that.
that we hear all the time.
Yeah.
Even now,
I
honestly.
think it's like Asian.
It's an Asian thing.
Culture thing.
Yeah, but I do have one very particular one that happens to me when I was because my journey to become a tutor, it's kind of rough, and even getting my own educational cert is another story on its own. But there's always that mindset. There's always the mindset from my parents that they are fairly open with they're fairly open with basically my studies, but they will always tell me one very important thing is that if you don't at least get O levels, that's you won't go anywhere. You won't be able to go anywhere. You will just be left behind, like even just a minimum. So that's something that always made me feel like at least the O level is very important, that kind of thing. So how about you guys when you were young?
When we were young, I think I can speak for all across the board here, having grown up in an Asian family and being Asians ourselves, especially Singapore. We were obviously brought up to believe that education is everything lah. Certificate is everything, not really education is everything.
Yeah, certificates.
Yeah, so obviously when my mom was young, I mean, yeah, she was younger lah.
Well,
but
you
when,
were young too.
but when I was younger, my mom has, I mean, I have never showed education prowess to begin with. Not even since kindergarten, dude, from what I can remember. But I think the one thing that has always, hung around my mom's lips were that she hopes that she could see me take a photo with my, graduation hat one day.
The typical like framed up.
Yeah, I mean like she will say in Mandarin is like 我的梦想是要看到你戴四方帽.
Okay.
So I just translate to English lah, right? Because she's a bit more Mandarin speaking. So that has always been like, I wouldn't say the goal for me, but the goal that she hopes I can eventually wake up to strive to.
Right.
Yeah. So there was some pressure here and there because I guess she was afraid that I would be one of those kids left behind, as per what SK said, and will not have anything good to do in my future. Or I will not have she was just afraid that I will not have a good future.
Any one of you actually have this like pressure of, it's not just getting the cert, but also, you need to score very high marks for every single subject?
I think
that
for
counts with the whole thing, right?
Not really.
Yeah, not really. Because my parents are very open with my cert. I'm borderline pass, and they were like, okay, yeah, fine. It doesn't matter.
I think for me, what was different was that my father always told me that like knowledge is power, and if you don't study, then it's like your own doing. So he didn't exactly like just wanted me to borderline pass, but rather if he did say this, if you need help, you need to tell me, which is why like when I was younger, right, I didn't have tuition until I asked for it. Yeah, so it was like a different perspective from like comparing to all the norm of an Asian family lah.
So it's pretty still fairly open.
Yeah, pretty open.
I set a pretty high bar for myself in primary 1. I topped the class in primary 1.
Primary
I
one.
never hit that height ever again. And I mean, growing up, my mom was always growing up, my mom was always like a bit like Andric's mom. She's like, oh, I want to like it's her dream to see us graduate, me and my two brothers lah, to graduate and all that. And I eventually went to uni, got a degree, but I never had that photo.
Me neither.
Because what? Have to fly to UK to do it? No way.
Seriously?
Yeah. Because
Why?
we do distance learning program.
Oh.
Yeah.
You can't just like go and rent one in Singapore.
No, and not just that. My school closed. Yeah, my school closed. I was the last degree batch, so no chance to do that.
I see.
Yeah, some of my foreign.
I mean, but you have the cert to show for it lah.
I have the cert to show for it lah, but that's about it lor.
I made a very strong decision that I'm not gonna show up for that square head. I was outright saying it to everybody like, to me, number one is expensive. Yeah, and secondly, to rent it and just to take a photo just to get that empty roll or piece of paper, I kind of find what's the point.
I didn't go for my poly graduation either. Yeah, I find it like such a waste.
I didn't
of
go
time.
for my that one as well. The MDIS thingy.
Oh, I also didn't.
When I was in MDIS for diploma, I didn't go for it.
What poly? People say ITE 的.
Okay.
Okay. But to be honest, like I'm pretty sure all of us after going through, pardon my word, shit over the years. Okay. I have to say that.
You can say that.
Yeah.
We've already established that you can curse on this podcast because we don't have sponsors yet.
We have professional images. I'm just kidding.
That's true.
Yeah. But to be honest, like after we've gone through so much, like what is the biggest change do you think you have towards learning itself overall in general?
I think when I was younger, I was forced to learn things that like we need to learn because of like the Singapore education system. But as I grew up, right, after I was done with poly, I could learn whatever I wanted to. So I mainly went for my interests instead. So like I took a diploma in pet psychology, as compared to like, I have to study math, I have to study chemistry, It's things that we don't use on a daily basis because we don't exactly need it anyway. So that's the difference for me.
Yeah, you remember the idea that all these things are important.
Yeah.
But then eventually you realize everybody's just looking to pass the exam.
Yeah, pretty.
Yeah.
They're not actually learning anything. Yeah, everyone's just looking to be like, you know, oh, to score well for my O levels, to get my diploma, to get my
Yeah.
degree, to tick the box. But then after they get all of that, then they don't know what to do.
It's like there's nothing else to do anymore.
There's nothing else to do. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I never really paid attention much during my secondary school and primary school years because you guys know for sure, but for those of you listening, if you listen through our stuff and you know my life story basically, you know that since the age of 10, I knew what I wanted to do already. Like I knew I wanted to go into the media industry already. And going through primary school and secondary school, there are obviously no courses for that.
Yeah.
CCAs at the most.
Yeah.
Right? So I guess since young, I've already kind of had the weird ass clarity or an excuse to not study because I know that most of the things, if I force myself to learn through primary and secondary school, it will not carry over to what I do anyway. Although as an adult now, I know that is wrong. I mean, maybe if I pay more attention to POA, like accounting, I might have a better accounts management right now if I'm running my own business.
Possibly.
Things like that. But things like history, geography, what else? Yeah, things like that would not really carry over to what I'm doing, although it's still a good baseline to have lah. Yeah, so I think to answer your question, I feel that it's a unique case for me because I already knew what I want to do. So to me, nothing has changed much.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to also be the person advocating that if you know what you want to do in the future at a very young age and it's not anything to do with what you're studying, then don't study so hard. I don't want to be the guy that says that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. For me, what really changed for me is not that learning or studying is bad. I think what's most important is when you are studying, right, in school, is to learn how to learn.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then when you go out, you can apply that technique to anything.
It's like a habit or a culture
Correct.
that you
Yeah.
continue on for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Don't just look to pass the exam, because like like math doesn't just teach you how to do algebra, it teaches you logic.
Yeah.
Correct.
Science teaches you to think about the world, the
Not
environment,
just that, they
blah,
are
blah, blah,
more of being analytical.
Yeah.
So all these like people don't really focus on all these like what we like to call soft skills, right?
Yeah, correct.
The people always focus on the can you find pi, you know, or
Yeah.
can you solve X,
Yeah.
or whatever, but they don't.
Methods and formulas.
Yeah, or can
Yeah.
you answer the social studies question based on the formula that the teacher gave you? So all these things don't translate well to real life.
I think for me, one of the major thing that I would say that, you guys actually like, first of all, I kind of envy Andrew a little bit because he knew what he wants quite early on in his life. And I pretty much had to go through, one of the things that I would say that I went through is without knowing anything on my what I want, I dropped out 4 times from, poly, poly and pre-U 4 times. And I spent nearly 8 years just to get my first diploma. Yeah, so I went a longer route, and it was only until my first diploma that I have gotten that I realized that, that's what I needed, or that's what I wanted, and that's why I need to start building that mindset of learning. So I would say that more so than not, that is the main thing that what Basil said is very important, is that, over the years, I realized that a lot of youngsters also have that different mindset, that they are just thinking that, you're just studying for the sake of studying.
I didn't actually have this in mind when I was younger. Like I didn't want to be like a teacher when I was young. But when I was younger, I wanted to be a vet because I really love animals. I wanted to pursue anything to do with animals. So I actually went down the line towards vet tech. And then when I went to poly, by the second year, I was like, oh my god, it's so boring. Am I going to talk to specimens in the lab? Like, I'm just going to contaminate them and then I have to throw them away. So then, luckily for my internship, it brought me to find a new passion, which is teaching. So not everybody like goes down the path that they choose from the start.
Yeah,
When they're
yeah,
young and
that's
things
right.
like that.
Yeah. And I'm not so fortunate also. Like, I also didn't start becoming a teacher wanting to become a teacher. Yeah.
Mine was really by luck. Yeah.
It's the same case for me. But that's definitely something that, as we go along, once we knew what we want, the wish or that craving for learning starts to happen. That's how I always feel that way. Okay, but the next thing that I want to share, I want to talk about is partially my own experience. Now, just like I mentioned earlier on, that I spent 8 years to get my first diploma. I spent another 6 years to get my first honors. So I took a pretty long route, and I'm technically speaking, I'm not a very good secondary school student either. So my O-level results is to put it nicely, is just a borderline trash. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just borderline trash. So, yeah. So so in the beginning of the time when I'm doing, and I started off doing training for years, and when I started becoming a tutor, and I went into various tuition centers to get myself hired. There were two ends of the spectrum that I have experienced. So one of which was the typical local Singapore MOE tuition centers, where they pretty much outright tell me, oh, despite the fact that you have an honors and second upper, so it was a pretty attractive resume for business, but you don't have specific education cert, and your O levels is not exactly very nice. So I really think that you are not very marketable. And not just one, quite a few of them actually said outright to me, which caused me to decided to get a diploma in teaching English for speakers and other languages, TESOL. It's a professional diploma course just for the sake of it. And of course, the moment I had that, and they saw my transcript and they saw my marks, they go, oh yeah, I'm suddenly become this marketable commodity. But there's also, again, some tuition center goes, oh yeah, we want really old MOE NIE trained teachers. Yeah, if not, the parents won't believe, you're not believable to the parents. Yeah, but okay. And then I think last 2 months ago, I came across this tuition center, this center, and this guy who interviewed me happened to be a Caucasian, an American, and he didn't even look at my certs. He looked at my experience, because prior to that I was teaching leadership, I was teaching computer, I was teaching filmmaking, and I was also teaching public speaking. And he was so impressed with my resume, and he immediately wanted to ask me if I want to join in. The only downside was schedule has been a problem for me, so I couldn't accept most of the given classes that he gave to me at the time. But the reaction was a shocker for me. For the first time I realized that, wow, I am actually not as bad as I think it is, or think of
not
myself.
as bad as what other people said that you are.
And suddenly that 10 years worth of education, that being the education line, suddenly worth something. Yeah, so to me that's also the biggest question, like what you all think about this. Like, you need to have cert in order to be credibility, in order to have the marketability part.
But that's the thing, right? You have the cert, they just didn't believe it.
Yeah,
Because you have a degree, but they still go back to your O levels.
yeah,
That's like Singapore society in general, right?
yeah. Like
you have a degree, but when you go into your SingPass, you still see O level results there.
yeah,
That kind of sucks, man.
yeah, exactly.
And they're judging you based on something that you did and scored for when, like, maybe almost 20 years ago.
It was already 20 years ago.
Yeah.
So for me, I only hold a poly cert, like a diploma cert.
Yeah.
So the issue was that I'm teaching secondary school. So in Singapore's society, they would require you to have 2 levels higher than what you are teaching. So if you want to teach primary school, you need to have a diploma, at least a diploma, and then secondary school is like what, bachelor's, something like that, or at least like any degree lah, basically.
Yeah.
So when I was applying for tuition centers, right, a lot of them were saying, we cannot hire you because you're only a diploma holder. Even though I have 7 years of experience, and this 7 years of experience is not like, I just taught them and they borderline passed or they still failed. A lot of them jump at least 3 grades to like an A. So it's not just like, I just taught, but rather like I actually made work done, and they actually saw there was actually progress, but they still didn't want to hire me just because like, they can't, because diploma. Or like even age. Like for me, age was also a problem. Like I went into a class, I taught a class of like 20 kids for A-Math, and then the parent, like when I ended the class, I walked out, and then the parent was right there. Then the parent went to the manager, and then like said in Chinese like, this is my kid's new teacher. Why is she so young? Is she even capable? Can she even teach? So what is her credentials? And then it starts the whole ball rolling of, I want to see the cert, I want to see her age, where did she study, did she do well? And then it's just a whole cycle lah. Then eventually like I left anyway, because it wasn't very conducive also.
Well, I have that experience also. I just shared with them before the podcast, and that was I have the similar situation where the parents outright told my center boss saying that he looks too young. Can he handle my kids? And then this happened last year before the pandemic, like before the start of the circuit breaker. And I remember vividly because I sat down and go, I'm 35. So what? So am I supposed to be having? Am I supposed to be flattered by the fact that I look young, or am I supposed to be offended by the fact that you think that I'm not capable? There was an absolute mixed feeling that I ever had.
No, but why should your O-level results matter? I mean, you didn't take pedagogy at O-level, right?
Yeah, that's the mindset.
And pedagogy is what you need to know to teach, right?
That's a concern. It's like that justification is either you can have your O-level to justify that your O-level score is high enough or low enough to earn yourself credibility, or you must at the very least get local NUS, NTU, SMU.
There's something I want to say, which is that just because I have good O-level grades does not mean I can teach
exactly.
well.
Yeah,
exactly.
So it's like a lot of people think that I do well for O-levels means I can teach, but not everybody that does well can teach, and they don't realize that experience is more important than just results.
Yeah, you don't have to be the horse first to become the jockey.
Yeah. Well, that's very
Not my
good.
quote, not my quote.
That's a very good quote.
It's from a football coach. It's from a football coach.
Yeah, that's a very good
Who was
quote.
questioned on his qualifications
Yeah.
as a player.
Correct. Yeah.
So, but for the two of you, probably for Andric and Basil, like one of the things that I always wanted to ask is like, when you are showing up to showcase your credentials or in your portfolios and whatsoever, right? Will you choose to put in certain certs inside?
I never needed to.
You know what I mean? How about?
Why? Depends on what I'm applying for lah.
No, as in, probably I'll give an example is maybe because you have a first class honors in filmmaking. So there's always there's always the question of will you showcase that inside your credentials?
It's only a line in my LinkedIn profile. That's all.
It's only a line.
Yeah, I don't go to a client and hi, I have a first class honors in filmmaking. I can make your corporate video first class. I don't do that. What?
Yeah. Which is also a very interesting question because, like, for us, right, we have to. It's our forefront of our.
Yeah.
Of course, because you're in education.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
But I only show the credentials that are relevant. Like if I'm applying for a math student, I don't tell them about science.
Yeah.
Unless I'm trying to get them to do science with me also lah. But for what?
There's no need to tell them that you have
correct.
bad psychology.
Yeah, exactly. It's irrelevant.
Yeah.
Okay. So speaking
to the mic.
Oh yeah, speaking of certs, right? Certs and skill sets. Okay, now I want to make it clear. First of all, number one is this is not exactly a education bashing, MOE bashing session, but it's definitely something that I always see is that always talk about certs, and very rarely people talk about skill set. But I think I can speak for all of us is that we always believe that both of them are equally important. But at which point do you think that you will want to tilt the balance between one? I just don't care about whether if I learn it in school, I just want to get it from experience, or do you think that I genuinely think that I really need to go to somewhere to learn?
I think that this is still very geared towards what industry you eventually end up in. I mean, I cannot 100% say for Basil, but I'm assuming it's the same. Most of the time now, if we get new clients, they don't ask for our certification one.
Nobody cares.
Yeah, they just ask for the one thing they care about, which is our portfolio.
Okay.
And of course, how much we charge.
I think it differs from the industry, like you are saying.
Yeah.
Okay. The reason why I asked this is because.
So you're asking at which level, like whether you are still studying, or you're just about to enter workforce, or you're already in workforce.
Okay. Let me just share a little bit of why I brought this up.
Yeah.
There was a period of time where I was thinking I wanted to try and go into acting, and I was hoping that I can get some gig and whatsoever. And the first thing that came to my mind at that point of time is to go straight to this particular school called Hugs Creative
HCAC.
HCAC, yeah. So I still remember vividly my first reaction after I went through the whole entire workshop was, after I finished everything, there's no cert involved there's no cert given to me. And then I realized that it's just a workshop. So but the thing is I gained something from there.
Yeah.
And I realized that actually it doesn't really matter because I brought this up and I used that and I even applied sometimes on my public speaking classes where I teach them how to do relaxation, how to actually emphasize on feelings, how should you be drawing into your memories whatsoever. So I sort of still use it at the end of the day. So it's worthwhile. But there is also some cases whereby when we sit down and people will ask, like, regardless of whether or not, is diploma or anything, they just want to ask, do you have the cert to back it up?
Yeah.
So, like, at what point do you think that you will want to tilt this balance yourself? Right?
What?
Is anyone taking that?
Your question
Sorry,
chimps,
anyone
yeah.
taking- Yeah, very chim. Like,
Chimps,
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
my brain was still processing it while you were talking.
It depends on which industry and which job you're hiring a person for.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe for hiring process, okay, maybe I'll just give it this way. When do you decide whether or not the
Such
person...
an educated question.
Yeah.
Even
When-
I cannot handle it.
Yeah, okay. Okay, when you look at... Okay, for example, for Basil and Andric, you guys
Yes.
definitely will try to hire people. At what point do you see that, I need to see whether if the person is qualified based on skill set, or when do you think that I want to sit down and say, hey, actually his cert is enough to convince myself that I want to hire this person? Maybe I'll just...
Okay, that I understand.
Okay.
Okay, I think at least for me, right, because I have been recently dabbling with hiring help. I do find myself, actually now that I think back, I do find myself still asking for their resume.
Yeah.
I.e., I need to ensure that they include their certification or the highest level of education.
Would you consider it more of a formality to ask for the resume,
I think
or like
so.
yeah?
I think so.
It's like a norm.
But it wouldn't be the deciding factor of what tells me whether I should hire or not hire this person. But I dare say it helps.
Yeah.
It helps a little bit, right? Maybe right now off the top of my head, I mean, it might change tomorrow. I don't know how I feel about it because I haven't given this much thought. Let's say I like it will actually make me form a judgment about this person, although I know that it's uncalled for. So if let's say I'm looking for an editor today and two guys signed up, I mean guy or girl, whatever. The first guy is extremely educated but is interested in doing and maybe has medium experience. Okay. And the second one, exactly same, but maybe same as me, 9 tech only. I would somehow get the feeling that jialat, this guy that's educated is going to ask for more pay. Right? That judgment will be formed in terms of my hiring process. So
Okay.
I might not even want to talk to this person.
Okay.
Although I likely still will if I only have 2 signups. But yeah, that I guess answers your question.
Yeah.
At least for my end. What about for Basil?
I think it really depends for job. I wouldn't ask a cinematographer where they study or how high their qualifications are. But if I'm hiring someone for a producing role, then yes, I would ask.
Yeah, I guess it depends on the role as well.
Yeah, cause I think the perception is that someone who's at least had a degree education, right, would be more able to handle a ton of paperwork. Yeah.
But in terms of saying, for example, if right now you're supposed to hire, say, an editor,
Yeah.
so will you...
It depends on the role.
Yeah.
Because
Editor-
after what he said, I totally agree. Because if let's say today I'm not hiring an editor, I'm hiring a content writer, then definitely I'll look at the cert already.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. If I hire an editor, then I'll be like, show me your reel.
Yeah, lor.
Show me your reel. Yeah.
Yeah, lor.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like I don't even need to know your.
I think
your qualification.
what you are trying to say, what I feel is like a relevant resume. Like, if it's an editor, then like, I need to see like this
Correct,
part.
correct,
Then
correct.
if it's a content thing, then yeah, I see
Correct,
cert. So it's
correct.
more of what is relevant that needs to
Correct,
be shown.
correct.
Yeah.
Correct, because I think your cert only shows that your cert, right, by right, it's supposed to show that you meet a certain
Requirement
requirement or it's a minimum bar. It doesn't mean that you are the best person for the job or you are right for the job even.
Yeah.
It's a minimum bar. It's just like, I have this. That's it. It's my entry.
So that means it's also best that if we can, as individuals, to at the very least have both on hand. Like
Having
as-
both is great.
Yeah.
Ideal scenario,
Yeah.
best. But not every scenario is the ideal one.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
Which also brings me to the next portion here, because I'm pretty sure that all of you or all of us have this experience whereby we always feel that, in our process of experience and learning, we will definitely have things that we feel that we do not have enough of. So the question that I will always that I wanted to ask is, when you feel that you're not enough on certain skill sets, what is your next course of action that you usually would do? Like I'll share a bit, maybe say for my end, whenever, like for example, whenever I've been told straight to my face, like I don't have certain things, I don't have certain skill set or certain maybe say certification, or even better yet, I may not be qualified to teach a certain subject because maybe I'm not from that particular line at all. I will usually I won't go all the way to go and work in that industry just to prove my point, but I will certainly try to go into, say, a workshop, or even sometimes get a professional certificate,
like just to better yourself,
just to better myself. And I realized that it helps me also in other areas as well. So to me, whenever I have not enough, that's the first thing I'll do. So how about you guys? Like, what's the first thing that you will try? Will you try to, like, if I think that I'm not enough, I just do more, or I will just, maybe I just go and research elsewhere, or maybe I'll just go to courses or whatsoever?
For me, I choose to get testimonials from like the students and the parents compared to like maybe improving the skill sets instead, because I feel that my skill set changes and varies with each student, because each student is very different, their learning style is very different, so there's no way for me to so-called upgrade my skill set when all the students are different, so for me it's more on versatility. So like, if a student teacher learns by tactile or visual, audio, then I will go along with that. So at least for each student's testimonial, it will all be different, and if a new like parent or student were to see this, they can tell that this teacher is able to teach all kinds of students.
But do you ever have that experience of like, I hit a wall, like I don't think so at this point of time I have enough knowledge on how to handle certain students?
There's definitely always room for improvement. It's a matter of whether I know what I need to improve on. So now I think I'm at a point where, like, usually end of the year the students are either having holidays or or they want to take a break. So how can I better myself during this period of time? Currently I'm still lost, like especially for the end of the year. So like the whole is a yearly cycle as compared to like a weekly cycle, in those normal 9 to 5 jobs. But mine is a yearly cycle where like, June will be very heavy, then suddenly like November and December is like empty, like, what am I supposed to do now? Float, I don't really know what I should do. So I think now what I can improve on, right, is I teach with assessment books because it's the easiest to get.
Correct.
Now during this November and December, I'm actually trying to come up with my own worksheets and curate my own materials, because I did do my own materials, a very condensed materials for my sciences that I teach, and like this, the kids all, like, whenever they see, I use it to explain to them, and then they'll go like, oh my god, where is this worksheet? Can I have it? I'm like, oh yeah, I made it. Do you want it? Say yes please, you send it to me. So this, like, it gives me the motivation, like okay, at least I'm doing something right. I should continue from here.
So how about Andrew and Bess? Like, I'm definitely sure that both of you, being A, business owner, B, being in this industry for so long, and media industry is one of those that will change a lot. So what are the biggest thing that you felt that you always, or how do you manage that in that misalignment? Or that
I went back to school.
You did.
I did. I went back to school in my 4th year of being self-employed, and I've been self-employed for 9 years now. Coming 10. So like when we started this business, we wanted to do TV production, but of course it's not possible when you are, you're fresh out of army and you don't have legs in the industry, so you got to build them up. And then when you build up a bit of experience and portfolio already, you realize that you're still not there yet. You still don't have the capability or the knowledge to do like pitching and all that. So go to school.
Well, also this will be a question for Andrew as well, because I definitely think you have another approach when it comes to.
I guess kind of same as Basil, but I think online courses.
Oh, you take online courses?
I do. I mean, with the kind of things that I'm shooting, as different to what Basil is, my refresh rate for shoots is very fast. Right. I can shoot something today, something new tomorrow. So I cannot really. I mean, it might be an excuse, but I cannot really afford the time to go to school. So if let's say there is a new type of service that a client requires, like just take for example green screen technology. I mean, it's not new, but it's not something that I have in my pocket right now. I need to go and learn. But I use whatever time I can dig out in my pocket to self-educate.
But do you feel that you are also more towards like I will just try first and learn later kind of person?
No, I never do that. Especially with paying clients.
Yeah.
I don't want to put their money at risk.
You don't risk it. Yeah.
Doesn't matter if it's
Very
300 or 30K. Doesn't matter, because I will not roll out a service until I'm sure I can do it and until I know that I'm good at it. I mean, yes, I do have a testing phase. Like recently, honestly, I really did start to experiment with green screen.
Yeah.
Like to actually incorporate it into part of my services. And I contacted a few of like my more trusted clients to ask them to actually come all the way to my house and to do the thing with them. And of course, my TNC with them is just know that I'm trying to test out a new service. You are coming to my place, and you might not get your clip at the end of it if I can't do it. And they're all aware. So that one, I think, is like a very low key, soft launch kind of thing. Yeah. But no lah, I won't risk my majority clients' money unless I'm sure I can do it. So there will be a lot of unseen testing here and there that most people don't see.
Yeah. I think with being self-employed and running your own production company, right? You meet clients, you meet people from, you meet buyers, you meet like people who commission TV shows all the time, actors or whatever. You're always learning from them. Like you're always learning from their experiences, what they tell you and what they think of what you're doing and all that. So, and also to add on to like tech is changing all the time.
Yeah, correct.
So you have to be on top of it. So every time there's like I think I always learn in like quarterly cycles. Every time there's like a new for example NAB or Broadcast Asia, there's a lot of new tech that comes out during that time.
Yeah,
so
correct.
during the 2-3 weeks after the events, right, I always be there like trying to figure out what's up with this technology. Yeah, but I think it's necessary lah.
Yeah, it's definitely necessary. Okay, so now we have constantly been looking at the direction as learners and all that, but I'm pretty sure that besides the fact that Shanna and I are tutors, so we are definitely faced with guiding students, teaching, etc. This is also quite applicable for Basil and Andric in a way. There is like whenever you are handling, say for us students and for you guys maybe say someone new or your employees and all that, what do you think is the go-to style that you have? Like, are you do you feel that you're very authoritative? You think you want to micromanage everything? Do you think you want hands-on, or you are the kind that I sit down there and just
let things go until they fuck up.
I think this might affect my hiring process. But we are here to be truthful and we are here to be transparent. I mean, like I said, I've only recently started dabbling with hiring people, and I do notice that so far my way of leadership is micromanaging, because and my excuse is because if let's say I throw an entire project to one person to edit, I need to be concerned with a lot of things. Deadline is one thing, quality control is another thing, and these two are already huge things that is basically what my client pays for. Right. So I feel that if I do anything less than micromanaging what he or she is doing, I might not be able to answer to the client if the client is unhappy with the work.
But do you think that you will end up eventually build enough trust to let go? Like once the person probably know what is your...
Of course. I do have some freelancers that work with me. I will happily trust them to go on a shoot alone, without me. And I know that they can deliver because they have worked with me long enough. So I guess people who are just starting out with me, I think I don't even really care that much about experience. But my clients are very used to a certain way of doing things. So I need whoever that joins me to stick to that method.
Okay, so that's definitely something that but you have you have that rationale that you can't afford to make mistakes, so that you will probably need to constantly hold hands at the time so that they can get used to it. For my case, I'll personally speak about, because I have been through enrichment trainings, and I also have been through tutor from both sides of the ends, and I've noticed that one thing that I always love to use is experiential learning. So
do explain.
Yeah. So basically, the experiential learning is basically we'll give them
first and teach it.
Yeah, basically to get them to do first.
Problem-based learning.
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah. And I'll get them to, and sometimes I'll sit down and go, especially at the first round, I'll throw every single problems to make them get as many mistakes as possible, and then I'll sit down and go, oh, what are you feeling, how do you learn about this, and then from there they build on it. Or sometimes I will go I'll just keep quiet whenever they are doing that thing. So I was like, okay. So after when they have done it, then I'll review the actual process.
So a lot of the students will go like, is this correct? I said, I don't know. Do you think it's right? Then they'll be like, I don't know. You're the teacher. You're supposed to teach me. I say, but you're the one doing the exam, not me.
Yeah.
Then they go like, huh?
Yeah.
I'm like, just do it. That's how I teach. Literally.
I guess sometimes when I train my current editor, I do that also lah. Like I give him a brief outline on how to get something done. Then I let him go and experiment. But I sit there and watch. Then until he hits a wall and he asks me, then I'm like, okay, this is how you do it. Kind of thing.
Yeah, I did that. Well, I did that for one of my P6 this year, and because by this year's P6 is a big group and they are very rebellious in a way. So they have this constant mindset that, oh, this direction is correct because the school taught, like for example, right, composition writing. Oh, I need to write 400 words. I need to write I need to write like as 3 pages worth of composition because that's what our teacher said. And then I sat down and go, okay, since that's the case, and they were openly saying that, why is it that whenever I am the one who gave them the particular story flow, I get pretty high. I gave pretty high content marks, but when they did their own version in school, they flunk. So I did this very, I wouldn't say slimy thing, but it's really painful on my side, which I told them, okay, you know what? I give them one particular composition with no mind maps whatsoever. It's just a picture itself, and I asked them to go and write on their own. So many of them pretty much they wrote like 3-4 pages, and I remember it took me 2 weeks to mark their work because they wrote it so badly, and they wrote it like
super long.
Yeah,
long-winded across like 4 pages, right?
Yeah, like one of them legitimately went with a joke about, today I woke up and then today's morning I woke up and I washed my face and I brushed my teeth and I had my breakfast and my breakfast is this. So and legitimately that took 2 paragraphs, and then he went into the actual story, which is like, why do you have to write that? Yeah, and I gave massively poor marks for them, and I sat down and go, now you tell me whether or not is it true or false, and I gave them the second version, which I gave the mind maps and the flow to them. So there was quite a number of time I did that. Of course, it will be I suffer a lot because I probably have to mark like
even more.
mark like crazy because of them. So that's how I usually, in fact I did that for enrichment as well, because I find that this came from the enrichment portion where I give them to do it, and after that they learn from there. So how about this?
This all sounds like when I used to do like instructorship in NPCC, because it's really like, oh, here's the problem, you guys go and solve it lor. like then you will give that kind of face, like, and then they'll be like, so what's wrong? I don't know, you tell me.
I mean, I kind of learn from like these kind of things lah, but I find that it works.
It works.
It helps to build their confidence.
You first you tell them that you trust them. It shows them that you trust them to solve the problem. But then you are just applying just enough pressure for them to feel like, oh, I need to solve it. Yeah.
I think like for me, the kids, they are not sure. They like, oh, I kind of remember the method, but like I'm not too sure. Can you explain it to me again?
Correct.
Then I'm like, if you think you know, then do it. If you get it wrong, they're very afraid of getting scolded.
Correct.
So I tell them, look, I choose not to scold you, and I don't scold any of my students. But I can choose to be disappointed.
Correct.
So I will be disappointed if you don't even try. But you need to
Correct.
try so that I can catch your mistakes.
Correct. Because I was quite different from the usual uniform group kind of like instructor. I never score punish people one. Yeah. But I mean, I do have that like if you screw up, then the disappointment. It's like, you deal with it You deal with it.
I
think in many ways, right, as someone who used to be a growing kid, that's a lot scarier.
Yeah.
I think I'd rather get scolded and like, hey, you do something wrong.
It's
change
like
it now.
it's like
kind of
no,
thing.
it's like okay, how many of you did not follow the correct procedure? Then you see like a few okay, good, you're honest. The rest, never mind. Never mind, we just move on.
I see.
You're going to reflect.
I also won't punish lah. I mean, the only time I punish is by request. They are the one who gave me.
By request?
Yeah.
No,
Students request you to punish them?
Because I think punishment is easier.
Yes.
It's easier to handle than
It's
like,
easier.
oh, what did you do wrong?
Yeah.
You know,
What
like,
punish? You
like
do
talking.
20 push-ups. That's it. Finish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And people forget already after that.
Especially okay, the term by request is especially for boys, because I always share my story about how I got punished when I was in uniform group, when I was going through all those NS period of time, that kind of thing. They love this kind of story, and then they will be like, oh, so hard, man. Like I have this notorious exercise called counting stars. You basically put your head straight and then you try to open and close your face and then you just do this all the way.
Oh yeah, that's so stupid.
Yeah, it was, but
That
it's
is so silly.
Yeah. But the thing is, they love it a lot and they wanted to try. Like, are you sure or not? So I was like, okay, fine. If you're okay, so if that's the case, how about we have a wager? If you get this wrong, okay. If you get this wrong and you'll do it no matter how many questions you are wrong. So I will just maybe say 10.
Yeah.
So if you have 5 questions, well, you'll do 50 counts. And some of them will be like, they wanted to challenge me. So I'll be like, okay, fine. And one of them actually thought that it was so good, like that he kind of enjoyed it. So what I do is I just take his bag, I just hang
Hang on his elbows.
Yeah, hang on. No, yeah, slightly around his elbow, this area, or slightly higher.
Oh my god.
Then I just let him just do this. And I'm like, okay. And I'm still teaching, so I was like, continue doing what you're doing, and then I'll just teach.
Corporal punishments, yeah.
I tell you what I used to do.
You
You go and write essay to tell me why you did this
Oh
thing
my
wrongly.
goodness.
Next Thursday when we come for MP, then you show it to me. You never write the essay, you go and write essay to tell me why you never write the essay. This will help in your English.
Yeah. No, I'm doing. By the way, I have a very good justification. I'll always turn around and say, if the parents ask the question, it's like he's the one who requested it. I didn't say anything. You know?
Yeah.
I even
That's
tell
weird.
them outright that I don't want this kind of punishment. You guys
Yeah.
wanted it.
It's so weird.
But I think the reward is that some of my cadets actually became far better leaders than I would ever have been. Yeah.
I see.
Like it's nice to see it that way.
Monkey see, monkey do.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah, because I came from that time where my seniors, the first thing is, oh, you all go and knock it down.
Yeah.
It's easy to just punish you in the
Yeah.
sun or make you stand very long, but you don't learn anything. You don't learn anything.
You just know you're wrong.
Yeah.
Like that's it.
Yeah.
Then where do I go from
And then
here?
after you build a bit of resistance, then you're like, oh, okay, punish lor. 20 push up, 40 also can.
Like I'm
Yeah.
used to it.
Yeah.
Just give it to me.
Yeah.
So I guess that is also a segue nicely to my very last question, which is, this is probably the biggest takeaway that you hope that your juniors will take away from is becoming a way better leader than you ever be.
Yeah, I think that's a sign of mentorship gone right lah. Because you always hope that you don't want to be that kind of mentor who, if you know 10 things, you only teach 9 things. Because then your knowledge transfer will not be complete.
True.
Yeah, then you will lose, every generation you will lose something. Yeah.
But how about maybe say Shanna, what is the biggest takeaway you hope that your kids will take away from?
What I want them to learn is more, because our education is all about math, science, it's all like hard skills maybe, you know, but I feel that what they can learn from me and not in school is more towards the soft skills, because I mainly teach 1-to-1. So what I can teach them is how to learn, because if I teach them how to learn, they can apply it to all the other subjects, you know. And on top of that, I'm teaching them how to learn for their type of learner, you know. So it is very specific to each student. Yeah.
That's a science of its own.
Yeah. Correct.
Yeah. But how about Andric, yourself? Like, how do you, like, what is the biggest takeaway you hope that, you know, if right now you said that you are actually starting your own hiring process. Like, at the end of the day, I'm pretty sure that you don't want them to just leave as employees. You want them to learn something, or you want them to gain something. So what is the thing that you hope that you can?
I think right now my intentions of teaching and imparting my skills, so to speak, is not as noble as you guys. I think right now my motivation of hiring is just to keep up with the demand. But of course, if you ask me to think about the future, I hope that at the very least they can take away is to spark an interest or respect for the industry. Right. Nothing too noble because for me, the only reason I step into this industry is because I love it. Like, it's my one love. So if teaching other people the intricacies of what we do for a living on a day-to-day basis can also inspire them to have the same respect as I do for our industry, then I think that is what I'll be aiming for in the future.
Actually, to be fair, it's quite normal.
Yeah, it's quite noble.
Yeah, it's quite noble.
No, but I'm saying for now. Right. For now, the main reasoning why I'm hiring, I cannot say it's because I want to inspire people, but it's just because I need an extra pair of hands to keep up with demand.
Yeah.
That's why I said right now, my intention of hiring is not noble.
No, you shouldn't hire with the intention to inspire people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why are you paying them to inspire them? But you hope you can leave them with something, what?
Yeah.
Right?
You hope they can live with something.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, you hope they can live with something. Yeah.
Yeah. Like for me, one of the things that I think what I've been through for almost since leaving secondary school 20 years, I think I have banged more walls over the years, and I realized that helped me to develop that certain mindset with regards to learning. And I am not exactly a very good learner when I was in secondary school, or even worse, I don't really like learning, and I don't really enjoy. But gradually I found that I have suddenly built a passion over the years, and I really want to get or motivate my students with that passion. Like I hope that they don't end up in going into my direction or going to my route at the end of the day.
So actually what I do with my students is like, even once they start like secondary school, right, I'll ask them, what do you want to be when you grow up? Okay, and then they'll tell me like, oh, I don't know yet, or what do I do, blah blah blah. And then I tell them like, okay, it's okay for you to not know what you want to do now. Okay, but it is more of like where like your learning style and the place that you go is also very important, because like the JC style and the poly style is very different.
Yes, correct.
So I tell them like, oh, you're more suited for here, maybe you can think about there. But if you're more suited to poly but you don't know what you want to do, right, then maybe take something general, because most of the time the diploma that you take in poly is not what you eventually do.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah. So I just tell them, just get it done, get it over and done with, then think about it later. Yeah, something like that.
I absolutely agree on that part, and I do find it interesting is I also share a bit like how I actually guide my students. Same thing is, you don't need to worry about whether what you want to do in future first, but the most important thing is just need to remember that whatever that you are learning right now builds towards any of this. It doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, whatever that you're exposed to, you are going to use it no matter what. Like, I hate math a lot, but gosh, when I started doing accounting when I was in uni, and then I started doing my own business, I realized that, thank goodness that I have that knowledge first. Or sometimes when I shared a little bit about, current affairs, and I turn around, thank God I've been through pre-U, I've been through GP before. So at least I found out that all these things seems to be relevant. Like, more of everything that we learn at the end of the day will have certain relevancy in a way. Yeah. So... So that's closing.
Closer?
Yeah.
You close or I close?
No, I'll do the conclusion first, then you close.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I close,
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm still trying to maneuver my way towards that.
Yes.
Yeah. That I need confidence for that.
Okay.
Yeah. So I guess in conclusion, I would say that all of us are still pretty much showing a different perspective when it comes to learning, but all of us as employers or even as teachers, we are also hoping that we can cultivate a room of learning for the future generations. And I think that is something that I personally hope that we can also instill in the younger generation, and also at the same time people who have some misconception about learning can actually learn something from this discussion.
Cool. So that was the entire episode on the education sector. We want to again, thank you, Shanna, for joining us for this one, because among the three of us, since we started this till now, we've already had the idea in our back pocket where we want to one day have guests on our show, and Shanna's our very first.
Thank you.
Awesome.
But of course, by the time you are hearing this episode anywhere online, it's already her second appearance, because we are recording everything in one day, but I'm scheduling them differently. So you would have actually first heard her on our show in the NOC episode, which we are doing later actually, but you'll hear it first. So thank you again,
Yes.
Shanna, for coming all the way down to our office here to do a recording with us, and thank you for sharing your views and being able to put yourself out there.
Thank you for having me.
And all this, and thank you also SK for doing this episode with us and also being so open. I mean, I might not know much about education because clearly I'm not educated enough. At least in comparison to Singapore's society's expectations, right? But can really tell that you are very passionate in what you're doing. Same goes for Shanna as well, of course. So that will be the closing for this episode. We have all of our other stuff and episodes on our Spotify account. It's also on Google Podcasts and Apple Podcasts. We also have video content on YouTube. We currently do not have a social media page yet because we don't see the point of it yet. But if you want to leave us any comments or any topics to cover, do go to our YouTube page and leave a comment anywhere. We actually do see every one of them, even though it's not a lot. But we do see every one of them, and we get very excited if we if we receive a new sub or a new comment or anything like that. So we thank you again, listeners, for tuning in with us, and we hope you learned something. So this is Prod.cast signing out. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.